Hello and welcome back to Shakesyear. We are working on the second Maiden's tragedy, and we get to hear from the Tyrant King again today in Act 4, Scene 3. And fair warning, things are kind of disturbing what's going on right now. So if you need to tune out, I would recommend you do so now, because it's even going to be disturbing in this little recap that I'm going to give. Because Lady decided to take her own life as opposed to being with the Tyrant King, and Gavinius had her body interred in a tomb in a church near his father, because that was the honorable thing to do. But the Tyrant King is kind of losing it and decided that he needs to go and get her body. So he recruited some soldiers to go with him, and they brought a pickaxe and some lanterns, and they got the key to the church, and they broke in. And yesterday he gave a monologue sort of to the monument wherein she was buried, but then he told the soldiers to break it open, and they're like, no, we don't feel right doing that. So he broke her tomb open on his own and saw her and said all of these sort of would-be romantic things that are really just creepy because she was so not wanting him. And then he told the soldiers to pick her up because he wants to take the body with. And one of the soldiers gets to have sort of a, this guy doesn't seem quite right kind of aside. And then he continues speaking now to her corpse in the tomb. It's possible at some point in this that he actually picks her up. But yes, this monologue that he does today is given to her when he's actually able to touch the corpse. And he says, by the mass, thou art cold indeed. Beshrew thee for it. Unkind to thine own blood, hard-hearted lady. What injury hast thou offered to the youth and pleasure of thy days? Refuse the court and steal to this hard lodging? Was that wisdom? Oh, I could chide thee with mine eye brimful and weep out my forgiveness when I had done. Nothing hurt thee but want of a woman's counsel. Hadst thou but asked the opinion of most ladies, thou'dst never come to this. They would have told thee how dear a treasure life and youth had been. 'Tis that they fear to lose. The very name can make more gaudy tremblers in a minute than heaven or sin or hell. Those are last thought on. And where gotst thou such boldness from the rest of all thy timorous sex? To do a deed here upon thyself would plunge the world's best soldier and make him twice bethink him, and again, and yet give over, since thy life has left me. I'll clasp the body for the spirit that dwelt in it, and love the house still for the mistress' sake. Thou art mine now, spite of destruction and Gavinius, and I will possess thee. I once read of a Herod whose affection pursued a virgin's love, as I did thine, who, for the hate she owed him, killed herself, as thou too rashly didst, without all pity. Yet he preserved her body dead in honey and kept her long after the funeral. But I'll unlock the treasure house of art with keys of gold and bestow all on thee. Here, slaves, receive her humbly from our arms. Upon your knees, you villains, all's too little if you should sweep the pavement with your lips. So, this is him grieving, but also sort of him mansplaining life to her, which is interesting. And had this actually been two lovers and he was mourning the death of a woman who loved him back, some of this might actually be sweet. But since he is the reason that she's dead, it's a little creepy. So it starts out with him acknowledging that, yes, her body is cold, and he's angry at that. And he's like, how stupid was this of you to kill yourself? He's like, the only thing that was standing in the way of you and the wise choice was talking to another woman. If you had asked any other woman, they would have told you how valuable life and love and youth are, and you wouldn't have done this. And he also asks her, how did you get so brave to be able to kill yourself. Like, take the strongest soldiers in the army, and if they had to do this, they probably couldn't. They'd think about it, and then decide to not. So he's like, how is it that you were able to do this horrible thing to yourself? And then he says, you know, since you're gone, I'm still going to hold on to your body, that your spirit isn't in anymore, and you will be mine in that respect. And he tells the story of a Herod who loved a young lady who hated the Herod, so she killed herself, but he preserved her body in honey and kept it in the court so that he would still have her nearby. And that is what the Tyrant King plans to do to Lady in this. He's going to take and preserve her body so that he can still just sort of have it around and be able to look at it, touch it, kiss it, do sort of whatever it is that he wants to it. So then in the last couple lines, he says to the soldiers, you know, here, take her. But then he has them all kneel down. He's like, you know, get on your knees. You're lucky to be able to touch a woman like this. You know, you wouldn't be bowing too low if you were to kiss the ground. And one of the soldiers is like, man, this guy's really sort of off his rocker. And he's like, okay, let's go. Let's off to the court and take her with us, and she will be our queen, and blah, blah, blah. So everybody leaves except for the first soldier, who has just a little blurb. It's not long enough to be a monologue for this project, but he's like, he's not well. This isn't, you know, this isn't good. I don't feel good about any of this. And he's not thinking straight. He's not behaving well. Like, this is not going to be good. And that's the end of Act 4, Scene 3. So, getting a little creepy, a little creepy here in the later acts, but this is a tragedy, and we actually only have about 2 or 3 monologues left to go before we're done with it. So if you've been tuning out, but you came back to see the very end, why you would, I don't know, you'll be able to join us for the next play very soon if this one has been a little much for you, because yeah, this one's a lot. Anyway, I'll see you tomorrow for more. Mwah.